Off Limits is the money podcast that blows up stereotypes, showing you that managing money doesn't have to be hard.
We want you to thrive, not only with your money, but in every part of your life.
What you will get out of this podcast is real, relatable, and relevant tips and strategies that you can apply today. Hi, I'm Donald Raymond, and this is
Christine Spiak. We are money coaches, business owners, and colleagues who are passionate about helping you become more of who you are. So if you're ready, join us.
Well, here we are, Christine, episode 9. It's our second to last episode of season 1. So next time we'll do our best of. It'll just be a mashup of all the a lot of moments from season 1 all put together into one episode. But today we have a guest with us. You brought one of your clients. So you want to introduce her to us?
I did, and you're going to have a little bit of tricky time on this interview today because
you guys are messing with me.
Not only is my name Christine, so is our guest. So let me introduce her. As a single mom of 2 children, Christine Golden found herself stressed out by her finances with no idea how to improve her situation. As a high school social studies teacher, Christine is passionate about setting her students up for success, whether it's in the classroom, through the many clubs she advises, or as the coordinator for Cinderella's Closet, which is an initiative that allows students to find their dream dress for proms and formal dances who otherwise would not be able to afford such gowns. Christine has become the hero of her life. By creating new, healthy money habits, she is well on her way to achieving financial freedom. Welcome, Christine. We are thrilled to have you join us on this episode of Off Limits.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm very excited.
I'm excited because you're our first guest. It's thrilling for me that now we were graduating from just doing these episodes to having an interviewee join us.
And we've got plans to do more interviews, right? So hopefully season 2, we'll have a few extra interviews. We'll have some more kind of dynamics going. But Christine, number 2, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And welcome to the show. So you're here to kind of tell us a little bit about your journey, your story when it comes to the financial struggles, successes, work with a financial coach, maybe some other things that you tried. And, we've had a little bit of conversation here, but I'm still really just getting to know you. And so for all the people out there that are watching that don't know who you are, can you just kind of give us a little bit of background? Where were you and what got you here?
About 4 years ago, I became a single mom. And it was something I was not prepared for in any which way or form. Yeah. And I had to find something to do to be able to take care of my kids. Now, my whole life, I have been told that I was not good with money. I was not good with numbers, with math. And I always trusted other people to take care of that. But on the flip side, I always paid the bills. I always took care of things. And I realized that maybe, I need help. And Christine, a couple of my very closest friends used her, took part in her program, and they highly recommended her to me. And I said, I got to do something. That I was using the credit cards to live off of, which is not a smart move. And I just saw me never being able to be debt free. And I just wanted to be debt free so bad.
I think you said something really important there that kind of jumped out at me, and there were a few things, but one thing you said is I needed help, right? And I think that's a big deal to accept. A lot of people are out there and they're thinking like I always paid my bills. Maybe I'm not the best. Maybe I don't know. I don't understand investments, and maybe I don't even have any aspirations of becoming wealthy. So I'm just going to get by, But maybe better is out there, and maybe if you accept that some help might get you there, then you could kind of overcome some of these barriers. But I think accepting that and understanding it and realizing maybe that you do need help, right? And that in order to move forward,
And I think too, a lot of it, especially with women, is there a sense of shame? Like, I'm a woman, I'm a mom. What do you mean I can't take care of my household? When it came to my money issues, the S word shame was all over the place. Like it was hard for me to come in to meet Christine, to say I need help. I'm supposed to be better than this. I'm college educated. Like, this isn't supposed to be a problem for me.
So without jumping too far down, into the story, I want to just fast forward quickly and let you answer the question, though, because a lot of people are going to hear what you just said, right? And a lot of people feel that way. I felt shame. It was hard to overcome that barrier and ask Christine for help. Are you glad, though, that you did?
Oh, absolutely. My life, I can't even begin to describe how much better and different it is. I get excited to get paid. I get excited to put money in the accounts. Yeah. And I haven't used a credit card since October. October.
Wow.
I have not used a credit card.
So it is possible. You can live without credit.
Yes, absolutely. And you have money left over.
You have no idea how many times I've heard people say, I have to have my credit cards. What do you mean operate without a credit card? That doesn't even compute. I can't process that. It's not possible,
So let me interject here with kind of following up with talking about credit cards, but just when you walked into our meeting that first day, do you remember how you felt coming in?
I was very excited because I'm like, Christine, you can do this. You have to do this. I was also, I'm not going to lie, I was worried about the cost because I was worried that, what the cost was going to be and am I worth the cost? And after about the first, I would say 2 months, I realized that, this is worth every dime I'm paying. And more importantly, I'm worth it. My future is worth it. My kids are worth it. And I think there's a lot tied with money and how people see their worth. And the two are not tied together at all. And I don't think people realize that.
No, I think you're right.
You literally just gave me goosebumps.
And two things, right? Two major things that I don't want anybody to miss is you said you were worth it and your kids were worth it. So, I mean, what other motivation do you need, right? I am worth it.
Exactly.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. And if for no other reason, I'm going to do it for my kids. Right? Whether it's because I want them to be able to have the things that they deserve in life or because I just want to be a good example. I mean, that is huge. That's powerful.
Mm-hmm. What I remember when you came in that day is it was like a deer in the headlights, right? And just all these things swirling around in your head and coming out and, am I saying too much? Did I not say the right things? And I hope, and I think, because, you kept coming back, but what I hope you took away that day was you didn't have to rely on your credit cards to get by. That the story you've been telling yourself and your maybe family members or ex-husband told you is that you're not good with money, that you are starting to realize that you were good with money, that you had great intuition. And once you stopped listening to what other people were telling you, when you listened to yourself, you started making great choices. And I remember when you left that day, I was so excited because I knew the power and potential of what you were already unleashing within inside yourself. And I think if we were to fast forward to today, when you come into a session, like you just said, it's like exciting. It's like planning. What am I going to do with all the money I'm making this month? And the growth and the journey that you've been on over these last several months. For me, has been an honor to be your guide, and I'm so appreciative for that role that you've given me the chance to play in your life. But more so, I'm so proud of you, and you truly are the hero of your own life, and nobody is up there in your head anymore, telling you what you're worth and what you can do or what you can achieve. All of that has been blown up, and the people who were in your head, you weren't even charging them rent. So they were just living there rent free, and now they're not anymore.
No. They're gone. They're gone.
Yeah, we talk about the imposter syndrome a lot. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
That idea tossed around. Yeah. So, and I mean, I think we all have that. I know personally, I struggle with that in different areas of my life and have in various ways throughout the years. So nobody, I don't think anybody is immune to that imposter syndrome, especially if you have people speaking that into your life, right? Telling you that you just can't. No, you can and you should, and you are worth it, and your kids are worth it. That's awesome.
Absolutely. So going back to that very first session, one of the things that came out of it was I asked you, as long as we're working together, to pause using your credit cards. If you wanted to go back to them when we were done working together, so be it. That's okay. But there's a lot of awareness that comes into play when you stop putting things on credit cards. There's a lot of learning and growth that happens. So the question that I'm asking around this really is, when I made that statement to pause using your credit cards, did you think you could do it, or what went through your head?
I did think I could do it, but I thought the whole process, not just pausing the credit cards, was going to be me suffering. It was going to be all about suffering, and I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm going to have to give up stuff I love. And it was very refreshing when we did the first budget and just the first things where I didn't have to give up everything that makes me happy. I couldn't be stupid anymore. And I had to make some good decisions and follow my priorities, which were huge, because now I had real priorities written down that I could look at and go, that's my goal, not eating out sushi again. This is my goal. So, but that really, to have that all in front of me really helped me a lot. And I don't miss the credit cards. Yeah. I mean, now I still carry one with me in case, I don't know, all heck breaks loose and I need it. But I have everything, like I've got money in the accounts. In the old days, dentist appointments charged, pet appointments charged, yep. Any, if the car needed something, charge it. Now I've got savings accounts for all that. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I got this.
Yeah,
it feels really good, actually.
Really freeing about having that level of control, that, understanding your finances a little better. We all know where our money's going, but if it's always surprising to me in an early session to sit down and go through a budget with somebody and see those moments where they're, just, I spend how much on what? I had no idea that all that money was going there. Christine and I talked about subscription services recently, and, people just don't, I see their look. Yeah, absolutely. So it's so easy to subscribe to them, and then they just start billing automatically, right? And then everybody every year raises their rates, and you keep these services going, whether you're using them or not. Christine had a client who had an XM radio service, a Sirius radio service, for a couple of years, and had no idea they even had the service. They weren't using their service, but they were still paying for the service. So, this stuff creeps into our life, right? And so I am curious about the credit card. So you thought you could do it, but you said that your reaction to it was, what am I going to be losing? But then your experience was, you were actually gaining some freedom and some relief and less stress and anxiety and stuff like that. So I think that's a really big point, right, that you want people to hear, is that taking away a credit card is not taking away freedom to spend. It's not taking away your ability to do things. It's actually going to free you up and do better. And you won't have these big bills to pay anymore, right? You won't have that monthly bill. You'll be taking care of stuff as it happens. It won't be piling up on you.
It doesn't pile up on you, and there's no guilt.
Yeah.
There's no, like, when I would take out my credit card to pay for something, it wasn't like I was like, bam, I got my credit card. It was, all right, I'm falling back on the credit card because I'm not prepared.
Yep.
And it was always guilt and shame aside to this. Now it's like, I'm just going to transfer a little bit of money and pay that bill.
There you go.
So I want to ask you something about a word you used was suffer. You thought you were going to have to suffer through the process. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I had read some books, read some blogs, stuff like that for many years, because I had been in credit card debt since I got out of college, trying to get rid of it. And I admit I may have not followed through with it and things of that nature. But a lot of it was, first thing is you stop going out to eat. You no longer do vacations or weekends out. You can't do anything fun. And, you can't do going shopping and things like that. Unless, the sneakers are literally falling off your feet. You're not allowed to buy yourself a new pair of sneakers. And groceries, it was always coupons. And I love a good coupon. All right. I still use coupons. But, it was a lot of, plan your around what's on sale. If you don't like to eat the cheap meat, sorry, you got to eat the cheap meat. And I didn't want to live like that. I would start off and do really great for like 2 months. And then I would be like, I really want shrimp, or something else that was more expensive, and I would buy it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're not suffering because the program that we came up with together is sustainable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is definitely sustainable. There is no suffering anymore. If I want it, I can do it. I just got to plan for it. I just got to plan for it.
That's the key.
And it's a lot with the priorities and goal setting. For me, it is, is this part of my goal? Is this part of my priority? And is this a want or a need?
Mm-hmm.
And I admit I have a lot of needs in my life and I have a lot of wants in my life, and my needs are probably wants in half the cases. So I have to check myself and be like, okay, Golden, do you need this? Or is it a want?
Yep. Everybody struggles with that.
Me, have those good decisions. And I trust myself again. So I know I had just this week, I had 2 bills that came in, and in the past I would have just paid them. I just would have paid them because I screwed up. I screwed up with the billing, and I always screw up. So I'm just going to, write a check and pay it out. And they both happen to be medical bills.
Okay.
And so I called up the doctor for one of them, and I said, I could have sworn I paid this. And sure enough, he's like, oh my God, I am so sorry. Disregard it. You are clear. In the old days, I would have paid the $70.
You need
Wouldn't
to
even cross my.
You need to make a list and call all the providers, all the bills you've paid in the last 72 months. See how much of that money you can get back.
Exactly. And then my dentist did the same thing. I got a bill from the dentist, and I was like, just going to pay it. And I'm like, I just paid a dentist bill a couple months ago. So I called, and not only do I not have to pay it, they owe me $65 that they're refunding me.
There you go.
Wow.
So just through trusting my gut. So
we had one of those, it's funny. A couple of months ago, we had a medical refund show up in the mail. It was for something that, a procedure over a year ago. And insurance just got it wrong. They sent us the bill. They had done the calculation wrong. We paid that bill, and here, more than a year later, we got a refund, and it wasn't small. I mean, it was a healthy refund. So I think that's a good. I think that's just a good awareness. You're right. So if people have medical bills out there, challenge them, question them, call, verify, negotiate, see what you can do.
Absolutely. And it's because you're so intentional with your money now that, like you said before, you would have just paid it and not thought twice about it. But because you are paying attention to where every dollar is going, you pause and you're like, wait a minute, didn't I already pay this? So it's 2 totally different mindsets of the way in which you are paying your bills, spending money. One's intentional, and one is just, you know what, I'm on this hamster wheel. I'm going. I'm not going anywhere. But the bill comes in, I pay it. The cards on my credit card or charges on my credit card, I pay it.
So let's jump into the coaching piece a little bit here. So we've talked about, your first meeting and some of the freedom that's come from coaching, but you said 4 years ago, things started changing. Were there other services, other programs, other, attempts to try to get control, or was it all just, kind of crumbling around you and you were trying to figure out how to tread water? You know what I mean?
4 years ago, my husband decided he no longer wanted to be married, and he left. And I was scared because he had told me, you're not going to be able to pay the bills. You're not going to be able to do this and that. And I actually had one of my very dearest friends came over, and she's an accountant by trade. And she goes, let's look at, and let's make you a budget. Let's look at what we're doing. And it turned out I could pay the bills, not a problem. Nice. Especially with him gone, because I'm not paying for his bills anymore.
There you go.
So I had more than enough money to do what I had to do. And so I followed that for a while, and, I tried to read some books on it and different things just to really get myself as a single woman, my money on a firm foundation, my, financial security. And it really wasn't, I need a person. I'm a teacher. I'm an extrovert, man. I need people. And I need a person there to be by my side the entire time. And that's what Christina has done. I mean, I can text her, I can call her, email her, and be like, I got a question. And she gets back to me. I love her little monthly appointments. And it's just having someone there who I know has got my back, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. She's never made me feel embarrassed or ashamed or anything when I've come to her. It's a really good feeling. Really good feeling.
So you mentioned the accountant that you have. Do you have like an investment person that you work with as well, or have you interacted with an investor? So you've got that relationship too. I'm just curious from your perspective, how is the relationship with a coach different from a relationship with an accountant or a financial, investment professional or an insurance provider? How does that feel different? Like, how does it fit into the puzzle for you?
She's I talk to her, relative all the time.
Yeah.
All right. I told my insurance person I talk to when I'm dealing with insurance.
Right.
My investment person, I have not I'm trying to get a hold of him right now. As a matter of fact, I haven't talked to in 2 years.
Okay.
Where she's always right there.
And I think
she's always right there.
That's it, right? So it's a much more, I don't know if intimate is the right word, but it's a more regular interaction, right? This is somebody that's in you said she's in your corner. She doesn't make you feel like you're asking dumb questions, right? There's no right or wrong answer. We just want to find solutions, right? And,
absolutely. And she'll work around me. Like if I said, this is my goal. I came a couple months ago and I said, when I turn 50, I'm going on a cruise.
Yep.
And she was like, all right, put it on the priority list. Let's get this thing going. No questions asked, no nothing. It was, all right, let's figure out a plan.
Yep.
I think it's really important to just pause there for a minute and really acknowledge the fact that I don't walk in Christine's shoes or any of my clients' shoes. I am never going to tell them, and I imagine Donald wouldn't either, what should be in your budget. So traveling is something that's really important to her. So we had to figure out how do we keep that in the budget, but then along with her other goals of paying off her debt and, whatever her other goals are, how do we do everything that is important to her? And so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but giving her that freedom to choose where her money's going and how much of it is going to which goal, that's her. That's her empowering herself, her being the hero of her own story. I'm the guide. I'm here to point out a red flag or fine tune something. I remember early on at one point, she didn't have food in her budget. And when she looked at it, she was like, oh yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oopsie. So that's what we are. We're the guide. We're helping you fine tune and point out red flags, but it's your money. It's your choice where it goes.
I think there's a stigma out there, and I think it's important to make that distinction, right? So when we talk about coaching, we're trying to be a guide, right? We're trying to help you prioritize what you have and help focus it on what you need within your own value set. That's going to be different for everybody, right? And so, but when we talk to when people talk to bankers or they talk to accountants or they talk to lawyers, those obviously have a stigma behind them. Tax accountants, insurance providers, the investment professional, something that you said was that I never talk to these people, and I got to say, I think that's pretty common, right? The most frequent conversation I have with any of those people is annually, right? And so I think there's a stigma too. If you talk to your investment professional, there's this notion that whatever it is, like maybe some people think that you should have all your money invested in Bitcoin, right? And that's just what you should be doing. I was in a conversation not too long ago where it was all about purchasing these government bills, and which is basically buying up government debt, right? And there was this idea that you'd get some sort of a guaranteed payback by doing that. And so there's all these assumptions out there, and there's this stigma that if you're working with any kind of financially related professional, that there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And I think for coaching, that's where, at least for me, and I think, for Christine too, just based on what you just said and what I know about you, that's really where we draw the line between some of these other financial professionals and a financial coach, is that there is no right or wrong way, but there is a solution to whatever the problem is, whatever the mixture of variables are in that individual's life that creates the problem that they're facing. And we can take that problem head on and we can develop a solution together, right? We can rearrange those variables in your favor. And that may not look like the current mutual fund that your financial professional is selling that month, or the insurance product, or the whole life plan, or whatever it is, right? They're just selling products, but we really want to encourage building solutions. And then, you mentioned Christine was your cheerleader in this relationship, right? She was your encourager. She was there for you. Mm-hmm. For other people, it's an accountability partner. I find myself in that role a lot, right? Where it's, hey, we talked about this. You got to stick to this. If you don't, you've got these goals. We've talked about them. You know what they are. And I'm here to make sure you achieve them. And sometimes the best love is tough love. And it's okay for me to give that when I need to, right? And so, but it can be both, right? We can be the cheerleader, we can be the encourager, but we can also be the accountability partner. I really think that's, for me, that's the big distinction.
If I ever had a decision where I wasn't sure, there definitely was a what would Christina do moment.
There you go.
There definitely was that of, all right, if I go to my meeting, how is she going to feel about this purchase?
Yep. Do I really want to tell her about this today? Yeah.
Yeah. But not out of fear or shame, just being like, is this sticking with my priorities? Because I know it's going to throw my priorities and goals back at me.
Yep.
So.
Yep. But it's how nice is it for you to have those boundaries now? I mean, it sounds like they're so clearly defined for you. Mm-hmm. Life must have just gotten, I mean, take the money out of the equation, right? You are laser focused on what your future looks like and what's important. Mm-hmm. And now you have the confidence to be able to pursue it.
One of the things that we did together is she created her own financial principles or philosophy.
Nice.
And these are statements that really for her, and I'm not going to share her personal ones, but it could be, I will never loan money to a family member. So when a family member does come and ask you to borrow money one day, it's not an internal struggle of, should I, shouldn't I? What's this going to mean? How's it going to affect our relationship? It's just, no, I'm sorry. This is really a principle that I live by. I do not loan money to family. I could try to help you come up with a way to earn more money. I could help you with your budget so you can stretch your money. I could help you have a garage sale or sell something, but I can't loan you money because it's just not something that I do. So when you have these financial principles and philosophies, and I'm not even saying that is one of Christine's, it's just an example that I used, it really helps you with clarity on how you're spending your money, what you're willing to and what you won't allow happen.
Boundaries.
Yeah. My biggest one was money will not be a weapon. Against me, and I won't use it against other people because I've, experienced that in my life. And I've also, it's not going to happen. Like I'm not going to use it. It's a tool. It's not meant to be used any other way.
Use it for good.
Mm-hmm.
Dave says, money only makes you more of who you are. We did a show that was called More of Who You Are or an episode that was called More of Who You Are. And I think it's true. If you're a jerk and you get a lot of money, you're just going to be a bigger jerk, but if you've always just wanted to give back, if you've always participated in, with your time and your talent, but you've never had the financial resources to support charities and organizations, but then, you win the lottery or whatever it is, or you just, maybe you're intentional and you save the money and then you're able to be more generous. And so I think there's a lot there. And I could hear in your story that weaponizing of money. And so for you to have the clarity and really the confidence to be able to say, I will not ever, allow money to be a weapon used against me or a weapon that I will use. I mean, that's a pretty definitive position for you to take.
Something else that I think would be important to talk about right now, because you just mentioned him. So you said Dave. For people who don't know, that's Dave Ramsey. And one of the first things Christine said to me when she sat down was she was not a fan of him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's important that people understand that there's a distinction between all of the people who are out there advising, telling, suggesting what you do with your money, that just because they're there, and if what they're saying doesn't resonate with you or how they say it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't mean they're the end all be all. And I say that for Donald and myself too. Of course, we're here, we have the show, we help people, we're trying to get our message and our thoughts across to other people. But if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Find somebody who does.
Yeah, we're building partnerships here. And we talk about it when you're looking for those insurance professionals, when you're looking for an investment advisor, right? And you're building all these relationships, there's got to be some trust there. And so if that's not there, it's okay to walk away from that relationship and find somebody else, and the same is true for coaching. You have to find that partner who is going to be able to encourage you when you need encouragement and hold you accountable when you need to be held accountable. But again, when we talk about the coaching, it's never telling somebody what to do. And if that's the impression that you're getting, or that's the feeling that you're getting from a session, then that's probably not something that you'd want to invite. Now, some people, I've actually had a client that said, will you just tell me what to do and I'll do it, and that relationship was one that I had to cancel, right? It was not, that wasn't going to be sustainable for them. I didn't feel good about them investing their money in me. I don't just want to take somebody's money. I want them to improve their life. So me telling them for a few months to do something and them doing it is fine until I stop. And once I stop, then they stop. And so they've gotten no value out of it. Right. And so that relationship ended. And I said, when you're ready, come back. So we'll see.
That's a good point that you make too. So I really tell all of my clients, like, I would love to coach you for the rest of your life, to have that type of relationship with you. But eventually you're going to fire me because you're not going to need me anymore.
That's right.
And then we can continue on a relationship in a different way. And there's lots of, different options beyond coaching for sure. But really, we're here to give you the tools to succeed on your own.
No, and those tools are very helpful, and nothing is, force-fed down anyone's throat. I mean, if you're not going to buy in, you're wasting everybody's time.
That's right.
And it's really going to hurt you. You got to get the buy-in, because once you buy in and it starts working, it's a natural sugar high without the sugar.
And you already said that you started seeing the benefits, and you were worried about the cost of coaching, but you started seeing the benefits almost right away. And so that was very quickly, put at ease for you. But I think a lot of people have that fear. And I know I would. If I was struggling with money, the idea that I'd have to go hire somebody and pay them to help me with my money problem would be just overwhelming, right? And
a lot of people could not believe. They were like, Christine, you are doing what? People close to me. And right. I was like, listen, I got to do something. And I know this is going to work. This is going to be. And then, with my family and stuff like that, I'd be like 4 months in, I just paid this off. 5 months in, I just paid that off.
That's
and they were
right.
like, well, wait a second. You just paid something off a month ago. Yes, I did. Yep. And now I'm going to pay off more. Thank you so much.
Well, and something I find myself saying all the time, and it's hard for people to understand this, but I am doing it for a purpose and making a point, and you can probably speak to this, but I try to explain, if I charged what coaching was worth, you could never afford it. Nobody could afford it. It would be totally cost prohibitive, right? I mean, the idea that we're going to make somebody financially independent, we're going to get all of their debt paid off, right? We're going to put them on a path that potentially makes them a millionaire, right? So should I charge $1 million for that? Should I charge 10% of their total net worth for the rest of their life? You could make an argument for that, but it wouldn't be reasonable, and nobody would ever sign up for that trip, right?
Well, that too, and I think for a lot of the clients, being a client, is you've got to really look at yourself and be like, I am worth this money.
Yes.
My future is worth this money, because people will say, well, there's no way I can afford it. Well, yes, you can.
It's an investment
in yourself.
That's right.
Exactly. And people need to realize they're worth it.
And it sounds cliche, but it's true. When you say you really can't afford not to, it is worth investing. If, not like the client I described that said, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Right. If you're ready to make the changes, right, you have to be willing, and you have to be in a position to make some changes in your life, because if you do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got, right? And so if we just keep repeating what we're doing, nothing's going to change. So obviously we're in a position where we need to make some changes, but the coach can help you figure out what those changes need to be and kind of help work you through that. And, I love what you said, because it's not about what the coach does or what the coach knows or what the coach can do. It's about what you're willing to do, and just being empowered to do it, being given a guideline and a plan, and, becoming more clear on what your goals and priorities are, and then kind of turning you loose.
Being that we're talking about change and kind of rolling with that same idea, how did your kids handle this change? What was it like for them in your relationship with them?
I sat them down and I explained what I was doing and how I had a new friend who was a financial specialist who was going to help me. And I said, we're not losing the house, because immediately they were like, oh my gosh, can we not afford it? And I said, no. We can afford things. I want to pay off the debt. And I explained to them the debt that I had, and I explained to them why I had that debt and how I had to change things because that debt was growing. It was not shrinking.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to help them someday maybe pay off their college loan, because my kids have got college loans, or maybe, I don't know, help them pay for their wedding a little bit, or, I want to be able to help them. And I can't do that if I'm not where I need to be financially, and I do not want to be a burden on them later on in life. So I said, I got to get my stuff straight now. I'm going to be a grown up, and you're going to be both leaving me pretty soon, about 4 or 5 years. They're going to be out of the house. So I said, I need to get my ducks in a row now. And they were very supportive. I don't think they took me seriously in the beginning, but they were supportive. And then, after a couple months, I'd be like, you want to see my budget? Honeys, come see my budget. Yeah. Look what I just paid off. And they were like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with my mother? My youngest, he wants sushi, I don't know, 8 times a month, a couple times a week. And I, told him, I said, sushi is going to be on paydays. If you would like to get some sushi, I'm okay with that, but only when I get paid, and I get paid every other week. And he was like, what the heck? But he went with it.
Yep.
And a lot of his expenses, because he's really not an expensive kid, but to have a tendency to go towards food and eating out and stuff like that. And my elder daughter, she wants money all the time because she's at the University of Pittsburgh. And she's like, whenever you want to Venmo me, mommy. Well, mommy just can't Venmo you all the time anymore. So when mommy got paid, then she got a little bit of money. Not much, but a little bit. And she was a little disappointed in that amount. But I said, then mommy doesn't have to give it to you. And it was okay.
There you go. It could be 0, right?
Yeah, exactly. But now they're getting it. They're really getting it. I mean, when my son's graduation is coming up from high school, I already have the money saved for the party. I already have, the thing set for that. And he doesn't have to worry about having a loser party because it's all been taken care of.
So they started out a little skeptical, maybe even a little scared.
Yes.
But now they're rallying behind you and they're supporting you.
Yes.
And that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny. People almost immediately respond with, you're crazy if you think you're going to be able to live without debt and pay all this stuff off. And you have to have debt, right? We have to have a car loan if we want a car. We have to have a home loan. And, it's not necessarily the case. You don't have to. We choose to, but anybody can turn that around and make some decisions. And like you said, you don't have to do some of these things that you're doing, but you're doing them at the right amounts, right? And so like with your daughter, you don't have to give her money. It could be 0, right? But she's getting something and she's accepting that now because she understands. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she's learning through the process.
Absolutely.
Whether she's telling you that, oh, mom, this really is a good thing that you're doing or not, she is learning through you. And now you're setting an example of what healthy money habits look like. And when, she graduates and your son graduates and they're starting to make a salary and paying their own bills, they're going to have a frame of reference and they're going to know they could talk to you about it. They're going to know you're going to help them write their budgets and stay in line and stay on track and be able to do all the things that they want to do.
A lot of parents today, from my experience, a lot of them, their kids may be, 24, 25, 26 years old or even older, still pay for the cell phones, still pay for the car. And my kids know this. Mommy's retiring. Mommy's not working the rest of her life because you want me to pay for your cell phone. That's not going to happen. Mommy's got plans. And so you need to make a plan too. That's right. No one's going to be homeless. I tell them all the time, I'm not throwing anybody out, but mommy,
you're giving your kids a gift. In my opinion, you're giving them a gift. So it may be, considered tough love or why would you do that? First of all, there's no judgment here, but in my opinion, you're doing the right thing.
I know I am. I know. I mean, I know I am. They may not be happy with it, but they'll realize it just takes a little time.
We all have to grow up sometime.
So my daughter recently said to me, and I was like blown over. I wish it was recorded, but obviously, I talk about money with her all the time, managing her money, spend, save, give, having an emergency fund, all of these things. She used her emergency fund to, when she cracked her phone, she bought the new screen protector and she still has yet to replenish that emergency fund. And I'm always talking to her about it, right? One day out of the blue, we're having a conversation and she said to me, Mom, I'm really glad you're teaching me everything that you're teaching me because I know it's all gonna benefit me one day. And I was just like,
whoa!
I really think my
that's
jaw
awesome.
dropped to the ground, and I was just blown away, shocked by what she said. So, what we tell our kids, what we show our kids, they are hearing and they are learning everything. I say it all the time. Everything bad habit of mine, my daughter also has. Right? It's because she's learning all the good and the bad.
That's right.
if you have healthy money habits, and the reason why I frame it like that, right? Because it really is a habit. Brushing your teeth, locking your door, going, laying your clothes out at night for work the next day, making your lunch ahead of time, whatever your just daily habits are. If you have good daily money habits, it's just part of who you are. You're never going to get, so far off course, right? Because it's just how you spend your money, how you handle your money. It's just a habit.
We talked about recently how the good habits replace the bad habits. We don't unlearn bad habits or stop doing bad habits. We learn more good habits, and then we have more good habits than bad habits, right? And so if you can have all good habits, that's great. But we all have some bad ones too, right? And the trick is to get that, find the balance and hopefully have the majority of the good habits. And so that's what we're doing, right? We're replacing some of the bad money habits with hopefully better habits, money habits. And you see the benefit of that over time, and the kids too, right? So my son, 7-year-old, is on track to, potentially never even have to borrow money for a house, and he just gets it. He talks about it all the time. He tells his friends, he's coaching his friends because his dad's a money coach, right? And so just all of these things, right? And I hope that that's his future, but I'm not naive enough to think that he won't fall into any of the traps, and they're all out there, and something is bound to happen, and he may have to learn the hard way a few times. But I do think by and large, this is going to stick. And if we're, as parents, if we're good examples, then our kids, even if they don't like it sometimes, they are going to benefit from that. We don't always have to, right, give them what they want. And because we just finished talking about that. It's need versus want. What do they need? And something I say, I probably sound like a broken record in our home, is we have to do the things we need to do so that we can do the things that we want to do, right? So if that means that there's chores on the list, we do those first, right? And we get those out of the way, then we can go to the pool, we can go on the trip, we can do the things that we need, that we want to do. We can, go to the beach, go on the ski trip, stuff like that. But we can't do those if we don't save, if we don't plan, if we don't prepare. If we're unprepared for the ski trip's canceled, right? If we don't do the chores, then we don't get to go to the pool that day. And so just little things, but they can add up to big things too. So I'm super impressed by your progress, Christine. It sounds like you're on track to, really set yourself up. You're still sort of in that new stage, and but your level of excitement and your commitment to this, I mean, I can tell that you see it. You understand it, you accept it, you're convinced that this is a new you and a new way of life.
Listen, doing a budget is so much fun. I don't know why people don't do this more often. I'm on my May budget. I've already done my June.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, at my last paycheck for the year will come mid-June. And so normally it's very large.
Yep.
And you have to plan it out and everything. And I'm at a point now in my career where I'm not eating ramen noodles the entire month of August. It's exciting to have that money to make a plan for it. And there's so many options. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
So you raise a great point, because you are a teacher. You do get that big paycheck at the end of the year. How many of the people that you work with, right, are really eating ramen, getting to September, and have now had to use their credit card as an emergency fund, because in that first paycheck really doesn't come early on in September, right? It's like mid to end September by the time you get your first full paycheck.
Yes, it is. And it's really tough. I don't know how our younger teachers do it, because they don't make enough to get them through the whole summer. And getting a summer job, I know people are like, oh, it's no big deal, but it's tough, especially teaching summer school or something, because you don't get a break from the kids. And, it's very difficult. It really is. And planning out that budget, especially if you have a young family, trying to make that money last until, next year, we're not getting our full paycheck till September, like the 20th or 22nd, something like that. And that's a long time. When I did my budget, I did 14 weeks, take me from my last full paycheck to my first full paycheck, just to make sure that I'm covered, and I'm going to be covered and still be able to have a little bit of fun, which is awesome.
I really like that strategy. I've done that for a long time. I do the monthly budgets, and then I do the annual budget, right? And it just kind of, seasonally kind of how things are going to adjust and change through the year. You're a teacher, so you have some of that, it's consistent for a while, but then it's inconsistent, right? You've got that summer break, and you've got to make a plan for that. Some of us, entrepreneurs like Christine and I are our income is not consistent necessarily. Our income comes in waves. Maybe we sign people up and they, pay everything in full up front, and then, we're connected to that client for a certain amount of time, but we're not getting paid consistently, incrementally through that time. And so, a lot of planning and preparation goes into that. And for me, it's always been helpful. And it's interesting to hear you say that you did that full year's worth of planning just to see what it looked like, right? You wanted to know ahead of time that it was all going to work out. And that cash flow analysis is what it is. And it's very powerful because it kind of gives you an idea. Okay, I know I'm not getting paid these months, but I know that I can budget this much for these months, right? And so you just go into those months with a lot more awareness even before it happens. And it prevents some of those kind of slip ups, right? You don't overspend just because the balance was inflated. You don't overspend early and then run out before, that season is over.
And you can make that extra money do so much other things. I mean,
Sure.
like I'm hoping to pay down another debt with my extra money.
There you go.
I mean, it's, people paying down debt is a process. And it can be slow at times, but also with the proper budget, you can really expedite the process.
Well, and when you free up that payment,
Christina.
that payment comes back to you, right? So you're no longer making that payment. That payment's going now right back into the next debt or into your bank account or savings.
So to date, you've already paid off 3 or 4 debts. How many?
4.
4.
Nice.
And I guess I should have looked this number up ahead of time, but roughly how much have you paid off?
I think it's like $8,000 in 3 months.
Wow.
Something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And it'll be another, by the time the month of June comes, it'll be another debt will be gone. So that'll be another $5,000 paid off.
That's amazing. You really have made some changes. That's impressive.
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm. I like getting empty boxes in my budget where there used to be a payment and now there isn't anymore.
Delete. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What do you want the people listening to this interview to take away? What's important to you that they hear?
You need to do it. You need to do it. You may think that I got this, my money is working for me, but I'm telling you, your money can work harder. All right. And it may be everything's fine and we can afford our nice little vacation and, whatever else you have going on in your life, but your money can go further. And you really have to figure out, are you working for the money or is the money working for you? All right. And you realize that your money can work for you and it should work for you. And I just don't think people realize they think they're doing fine and you could do better. Doesn't mean you're doing bad, but there's a better way. And I just wish that people knew that. And people who think there's no way I'm getting out of this hole. Yes, you are. I was in the hole and I had my little flat screen TV and I had my mini fridge and I was going to move into the hole because that's where I was stuck. I was never going to get out of the hole. I'm just going to stay here and feel sorry for myself. And I'm out of the hole. Like I'm fully out of the hole. Yes, I still have some debt, but that's going to be gone. Like I got a plan. And now I'm chilling outside the hole and the view is a whole lot better. I'm just telling you.
I love that. I love that. Hope, it sounds like you're saying hope starts here. There is hope.
Yes.
And you can absolutely do it. But you have to want to do it.
Yeah, right? And you're worth it. You're worth it.
Yeah, a word that is in my head that we haven't said yet, but talking to you, this word has popped in several times. I wrote it down while we were just jotting notes down while we were talking, but legacy, right? It's not, you're getting out of debt and you're taking care of yourself now, but, and that's important. And you're taking care of your kids now, but you're doing it because you want your kids to be taken care of long term. You want to be the example for them. You want to help them with future needs. You just said, it's short term, but I paid some debt off. And yes, I have some more debt, but it's already paid off. I just haven't paid it off yet, right? Like mentally, you're already there. It just, transactionally, you haven't done it yet. And I think that's where people have to get to. They have to accept, so many people have accepted being in the hole. They've dug it. They're in there. They've got their mini fridge and their TV. They're hanging out and they're not happy, but they've decided to be content, or maybe a better word is complacent, right? We're here and there's no going out, no getting out, no going back. And so we'll just make the best of it. But I just heard you say loud and clear, you don't have to live that way. You can make a change and you can do better. And there is light on the other side, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That's my quote. My quote is, there's a light at the end of the tunnel and mine is a disco ball.
I love it.
I like it. Is that your quote?
Yes.
Or
that's my quote.
Oh,
There's light at the end of the tunnel, and my light's a disco ball, and I'm going to party hard once I get through that tunnel.
Yes,
we need to get that trademarked.
And I don't know if it was session, I think it was session 2. It could have been session 3, but she said that to me, and I'm like, I have to write that down, and I have to use that when I'm talking to people, because we can all identify, right, with whatever we're going through in our life, that light at the end of the tunnel, right? We can all envision that. But when she said to me, the light at the end of the tunnel is a disco ball, that changed my whole thought of the light being at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So every dollar that right now is going towards debt, right, and let's just say, for example's sake, let's say it's $1,500 a month is going towards all the debt payments, right? Well, when she gets to the end of that tunnel, $1,500, instead of going to debt, can go to traveling, can go to her kids, can go to anything she wants.
That's a lot of cruises, just saying.
There you go.
She loves to travel. She's been giving me a lot of good ideas.
I love it.
So yes, that's her quote, and I absolutely love it. It fires me up when I hear it. And to me, it speaks volumes of what this process is. And I think, being that you just said your quote, so we end every episode with a book recommendation, an inspirational quote, and a next step. What's something our listeners can do right here as soon as they hit stop on this episode that they can do? So, Christine, share with us say your quote again.
There is my light at the end of my tunnel is a disco ball.
Love it.
That's it. Because when it's done, you party, you reward. It's not just, oh my God, there's another problem. No, you party, and it's going to be fun.
And before you give that action step, so this has come up a couple of times, but we haven't stopped to actually package it. But you just said it, the reward, right? So we just finished an episode that had to do with celebrate the win, and what motivates you to keep going? Well, it's the disco ball, right? It's the celebration at the end. It's the party, and so if you want to create those moments of celebration along the journey too, right? Because you can't just have the big one at the end. You'll get derailed, you'll lose your momentum, something will happen, and you'll start to believe that it's too far out there, right? You're never going to get there. But if you have those little ones along the way, that kind of refuels the energy, right? Gets you going again and gives you the motivation and the encouragement to keep going. So yeah, I think there's a lot there. You just said we got to party. Do some small parties along the way, right?
Yes,
have fun
absolutely.
with it. Give yourself the pat on the back. You've got a lot of fans in your corner. You've got your kids. You've got Christine, and it sounds like you do a great job motivating yourself. Giving yourself the credit for the tremendous effort and the transformation that you've undergone, and you've done all that. You've done it, and that's amazing.
Well, everybody's got to know their worth, and I know my worth, and it took me a long time to get here, but I know my worth.
That's awesome.
And everybody needs to know that.
Awesome. Would you share with us some of the ways you have celebrated since we've been working together?
I'm a big estate sale antiquer type of girl. So I'll go and, buy myself something that, brings me joy. I only buy it if it brings me joy. At different estate sales, I just paid off a credit card not too long ago. So this past Saturday, I did a Kentucky Derby party. Me and my dad and my cousin and my boyfriend went to see the Kentucky Derby, and we had a nice dinner and stuff like that. So, and a lot of times too, it'll just be I just did this, and my boyfriend will be like, well, let's go hiking, or, it doesn't always have to cost money. There's great ways. Right. And I just like to tell people, I'm pretty sure some of my family members are just shut up already about your money, but I don't care. And I also, for my kids, there's always been this thing where adults, at least in my opinion, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about money. And I don't want my kids to feel like that. I want them to be able to come talk to me if they're not sure what to do, or talk to a professional. Obviously I'm not a professional, but there shouldn't be any shame with money. I do not want my kids growing up like that.
No, absolutely. And that was the whole motivation for the title, the name of this show is Off Limits. And the idea behind that, which I'm sure Christina shared, is that this money thing has always been off limits, and I shared early in the show that, in my house, that's how I grew up. We just didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about the money, and it wasn't that we were falling on hard times or anything like that. You just left it alone. It was just, you just didn't talk about it. And so, yeah, you're in the same mindset as me. In our house, my 7-year-old is involved in literally every financial decision we make, big or small. And he doesn't necessarily understand it all, but he participates. And so he's getting the exposure whether he likes it or not.
I like how you shared that you're rewarding yourself by spending money, whether it's the antiquing or the party you just went to, because what I think a misconception could be sometimes is, well, now I can't spend any money. Like now I'm going to the extreme of the other way. Like you mentioned early on in this episode, I thought I had to suffer doing this. Like, shouldn't I be suffering more? No, you don't have to. You can still spend money on yourself. You could still give to other people.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a punishment or a suffering type experience. It just goes back to what are your goals? What are your priorities? What makes you content? And money is a tool. Money does not bring you happiness.
No, it does not.
Well, let's hear your book recommendation.
Okay, my book recommendation, it's Counting by Sevens, and Holly Goldberg Sloan is the author. It's a young adult book. It's a kid's book. I do read, but a lot of I'm a history teacher, so it's a little boring. I had to read this book with my son for school. We read it together, and it literally changed my life. I highly recommend it. I don't want to give it away too much, but it's about a little girl and how she changes her world and everyone around her, and she doesn't even know it. It's just fabulous.
There are some great young adult books out there, so
Yes,
I'll definitely be reading this one. Thank you for that recommendation. Have you read it, Donald, or have you heard of it?
This is the first time I've heard the title, so it is now on my list. My list is growing though, so we'll see. We'll see when I get to it.
Yes. Yeah. And then what about your next step? Like what's something somebody listening today could really just do for themselves to help them get on a better path with their money?
I think that besides going and getting a coach, like the best thing that they can do is a two-parter. One is really sit down with your partner, or if you're, a single mom like me, and prioritize. Really look at what is important to you and prioritize right now, and then prioritize of what you want to look like, let's say in 5 years or, 10 years of where you want to be and what you want to do. And once you put that in writing and you look at it, post it somewhere so it's always in your face. Mine's on the refrigerator, but, put it somewhere so you're always got to look at it and get your priorities straight, and they have to be yours. You can't, nobody else's priorities, your priorities.
Let's just stop there for 1 second, because I love that you said that. You're not listening to outside voices, outside people, family, friends, the media, the news. What is right for me? And that's where your list came from. So you said it was a two-parter. What's the second part?
Besides getting the coach, just really getting your priorities in check and looking at your budget and where is my money going, and start using cash only.
Okay, so that's
cash only.
Now we're at part 3. What's part 4?
Listen, a couple weeks ago, I went to Pittsburgh to pick up my daughter, and we went to a Pittsburgh Pirates game, and that is it's a cashless society over there. And I almost had it like a stroke. I'm not going to lie. I was like, all I have on me is cash. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me right now? And I got, my boyfriend did have his card on him, so he was all fine and dandy. But I was like, this is not cool. Like, you people need to warn people, because I had my cash. I had my little pile of what I could spend in the, on my Dodgers gear and stuff like that. And it wasn't fun. So we can't go a cashless society. I want my paper. We need cash.
I don't want to go to a cashless society either. But we do have a good recommendation for people, because there are amusement parks and different ballparks or places that have gone cashless. So what you can do is have a separate checking account that's your check spending account. And if you know going into it, still budget whatever you're going to spend at this Pirates game, just load up that debit card with that money and then go to the cashless place and just swipe that debit card.
There you go.
But why is cash so important for you? How did that make an impact on your life by moving towards cash?
I was always using the card, and I didn't know where my money went. With cash now, I know. With cash, I look at it and I go through, I've only got this much left in my little pocket for estate sales, and they want $5, and I've only got $3. So I may not be able to get it, or I may have to make some deals here. but it helps me in that capacity. It's just, I compare it a lot for me. I'm not a huge person who goes to the casino, but when I do go, I can't do the video game slot machines. Like, I don't know if it's my ADHD, but I need to hang on to the chips. I need to hold them and feel them and make piles with them. And so I can't do slots. Like if I do go there with my, party $20 to play on roulette, I want the chips. I need to be able to feel them. And I feel that same way with my cash. I like looking down and being like, oh, look at my little wad of money I have. It may all be ones, but it's still mine. Whereas with the card, I don't know where that stuff's going. And then all of a sudden I'll look at my account and I've overdrawn and I guess I didn't know and I used it for this.
Yep.
It's just really helped me in so many different ways.
And with the cash, you can't do that, right? Once it's gone, it's gone.
Oh, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And parting with it, though, it's like, do I really want to spend my money on this?
Well, especially once you get from the 20 to the 10 to the 5, the willingness to let go probably goes down a little bit,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Christine, it's been a pleasure, getting to know you a little bit and having this conversation. So given everything that we've talked about, you talked about long-term, short-term goals. So you mentioned kind of that 5-year time frame. Do you have a vision for where you hope to be in 5 years?
Oh, yes. You have to have vision. In 5 years, I will be debt-free, at least with credit cards and my car. Not sure about the house yet, but we'll get there.
There you go.
But definitely debt-free with credit cards in my car. And I will have a massive travel account and I'll be traveling at least twice a year. And my kids will be out of the house. They don't know that yet. They'll be out of the house. And, I may be downsizing that, I'm not sure about, but I will be preparing for it. And it's going to be, for lack of a better term, all about me and my family and just be able to take care of them and save for them. So when they have life's big moments, I can help them out the best I can.
It sounds like you're really focused on your priorities, what's really important. You've discovered and been able to prioritize those things. And, you probably always knew they were there, but you may have had a little bit of fear about whether or not you could actually achieve and support them. And now it sounds like you're going after them with everything you got. I can't think of a better way to end than with a client interview, you sharing your thoughts. And, man, a lot of what you said really resonates with me, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people too. So thank you for doing this today.
Oh, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and I hope people, I can help people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I echo what Donald said. It was so powerful to me to have our first client interview be you, because I've seen your journey. I am so excited for your future. Everything that she rattled off with, what's within her 5-year vision, there's no doubt in my mind that she's going to achieve it because she's focused, she's passionate, she wants it, and she's setting herself up for success to actually attain it.
I think we need to do something. We need to go ahead and put on the calendar now, 12 months follow-up. We'll do another interview,
All right,
see what it looks like, and we'll just let everybody in on the progress, and
Yes.
and my prediction is that you're going to be farther ahead than you expected to be.
Unless there's some big setback, there's no doubt in my mind she'll be further ahead.
Well, that's it for today's episode, and man, no more new content for this season. So until season 2.
Let's do a little teaser for season 2, because we talked about interviewing other people. And in season 2, we're going to interview another client. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk to a financial advisor, an insurance agent, a real estate agent. So we're going to bring you some more tactile information when it comes to your money, and talking with some professionals and experts in these industries to really help guide you on what's best for you, what's out there, and how you can achieve your goals. Not somebody else's, but your goals and your dreams.
Yep. Next season, we're digging into the weeds. Next season, I think, is all about the nerds. It's all about the people that love the details, love budgeting. And maybe if you didn't, maybe you'll learn to. So hopefully
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's right. That's right. I love it.
Yeah.
I can't, there's not a day that goes by that I don't adjust it or interact with it in some way. So but it's helpful too, right? Well, great to meet you again. And we will see everybody in season 2. Bye.
Thank you for your time, and talk to you soon, Donald. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Off Limits.
Beyond the podcast, we are money coaches who want to help you.
So if you are looking for help managing your money, use the links in the description below to contact either of us and learn how coaching can help you thrive.
Lastly, please help us to spread the word by subscribing, leaving a comment, and sharing our podcast with your friends and family.